more confusion into the situation was a series of last-minute replacements and unexplained absences within the chain of command. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff was General Henry Shelton, but on September 11 he was absent, and his post was taken by his deputy, General Richard B. Myers. The FAA's National Operations Manager was Ben Sliney. On the morning of September 11, Sliney had been on that job for less than 1 day. The protocols required for Mr. Sliney to speak directly with the hijack coordinator, Lieutenant General Mike Canavan. But Canavan on that day was in Puerto Rico, and apparently he had forgotten to designate a replacement. In regards to the ensuing confusion, Mr. Sliney has stated, "That's incredible. There is only one person. There must be someone designated or someone who will assume the responsibility of issuing an order." At the head of the National Command Center was General Montague Winfield. But on the evening of September 10th, Winfield instructed Captain Charles Leidig to take his place on the following morning. Leidig had been just recently certified for that post and was also on his first day on the job. At the Operation Command of NEADS was Colonel Marr. When Marr called his superior, General Arnold, to get authorization to scramble the jets from Otis, he was told that Arnold was in a meeting where he could not be reached by telephone. Marr had to physically send a messenger looking for him. Precious minutes were lost as Marr waited for Arnold to return his call, and when the fighters were finally scrambled, it was too late for them to intercept American 11. The top commander in charge of NORAD was General Ralph Eberhard. Eberhard called General Myers to update him on the situation. But even though both generals knew the country was being attacked by hijacked airplanes, neither of them suggested suspending the war games and recalling all the fighters available as soon as possible. Furthermore, instead of getting on the phone and taking control of the situation in the most crucial moment of the day, General Eberhard chose to get in his car and drive from the Peterson base to Cheyenne Mountain. The 30-minute drive put him completely out of the loop. General Eberhard was also the person responsible for lowering the security level of the defense computer system on the evening of September 10th. And then there was Donald Rumsfeld. The hijack coordinator is in Puerto Rico. No one knows who the replacement is. The military command is in the hands of a total rookie, and the Secretary of Defense is nowhere to be found. After the Pentagon was hit, rather than go to the command center and take charge of the situation, the Secretary of Defense chose to lend a helping hand on the Pentagon's lawn. It's almost as if Rumsfeld didn't feel the need to be informed about what was happening to his country under attack.
For 30 minutes, we couldn't find him. And just as we began to worry, he walked into the door of the National Military Command Center.
In fact, Rumsfeld told the 9/11 Commission that he was just gaining situational awareness when he spoke with the Vice President at 10:39. That's more than 1.5 hours after the whole world knew that America was under attack. Why would so many rookies be placed in key positions? And why would so many top officials be either absent or unavailable on a day when so many exercises were scheduled?
me give you 7 central thoughts of this powerful book. Mass manipulation rule number 1. Crowds obey simple emotions, not logic. In crowds, it is emotion, not reason, that dominate. Collective mind is purely emotional. Crowds are controlled through fear, anger, and excitement. Rational arguments are ignored, while strong emotions spread rapidly. Mass manipulation rule number 2. Repetition creates belief. Affirmation, pure and simple, kept free of all reasoning and all proof, is one of the surest means of making an idea enter the mind of crowds. The key to manipulating crowds is to repeat a statement over and over without explanation or evidence. Repetition hardwires it into the collective mind. Mass manipulation rule number 3. Visual symbols overpower words. Crowds, being only capable of thinking in images, are only to be impressed by images. Crowds react to strong visuals and symbols far more than complex ideas or arguments. What they see shapes what they believe. Mass manipulation rule number 4. Prestige paralyzes judgment. The special characteristic of prestige is to prevent us seeing things as they are and to entirely paralyze our judgment. When a person, institution, or idea is seen as prestigious, it silences doubt and critical thinking. Prestige blinds the crowd to reality. Mass manipulation rule number 5. Leaders mold the crowd's will. The crowd is led by the unconscious, but directed by a leader whose will has become its own. A leader doesn't argue or debate with a crowd. Instead, they embody the crowd's emotions, amplifying its desires and focusing its energy. And it doesn't matter if the leader has no experience or merit. Mass manipulation rule number 6. Crowds worship absolute certainty. Crowds are only to be influenced by ideas that are absolute, uncompromising, and simple. Masses don't like nuance. They like simple black and white ideas presented with a total conviction. Doubt and complexity weakens influence. Mass manipulation rule number 7. Illusions seduce crowds more than truth. Crowds have never thirsted after truth. They turn aside from evidence that is not to their taste, preferring to defy error, if error seduces them. Facts don't matter if they contradict the crowd's feeling. A convincing illusion will always win over uncomfortable truths. The book that reveals all of this is The Crowd, a study of the popular mind by Gustave Le Bon, written in 1895.
It is my belief and my awareness that there is a depopulation agenda between now and the year 2050. If you were going to make a massive amount of people around the entire globe sick, if you were going to do that, and at the same time you were going to lock them down, what do they have control of going into your home while you're locked down in there? Water. You can actually see for our water treatment that we drink and we shower in their proprietary blends, they include a protein called E-carin. That is a snake venom component that elicits blood clotting. You need to go look for venom. They are poisoning us. You need to look at the water. There is no part of me that even questions whether or not they're poisoning us in water. If you want to make sure your family's going to stay healthy, you got to make sure the air you breathe, the water you drink, and the food you eat is clean.